Hello, welcome to Board Game Madness. I'm Mike Ganade, and in today's matchup, we have the number 16 seed, Role Player, versus the number 17 seed, Tapestry. So once again, I like to go over what the games are about before we jump into our head-to-head. Role Player is a game where you're basically creating your D&D character. That's the whole game. You're rolling dice and mitigating dice rolls. And placing them on your player board to set their stats and meet certain goals that you have. So they've sort of made a Euro game out of creating a D&D character. And then Tapestry is a civilization game that's very Euro focused, where you're working up 4 different tracks, and each track sort of does something different on the game board and interacts with players in a different way. So with that, let's go to our first category, which is production. This is where I like to get some of the pieces out of the game. So, Role Player comes with a bag and all these dice. Overall, the artwork is very nice and very sort of D&D fantasy focused. So these different card effects can give you different boosts in the game, or traits. And then the nicest thing about the game is you get this board where this is where you're placing your dice into different spots to meet the certain goals and setting up the character how it is. And each of them is double-sided, which is of course nice as well. So you can pick which version of the elf you want to be in this particular example. So the components are nothing special, but the production is certainly nice. I don't think there's any complaints about it. It is a lower price game than Tapestry, just from the sheer box size, you can tell. Now Tapestry, like a lot of Stonemaier games, has exceptional production. You get, all these ridiculous nice pieces in your color to build out your board. They have these ridiculously cool miniatures. I forget what these are called, like landmarks or something that you can earn. You got these cool buildings. And then, in my opinion, the artwork is a little bit nicer as well. I mean, just overall, if you've played any of Stonemeier's game before, it's got custom dice you roll. You got to give it to them. I mean, Stonemaier can do production. So we got to give production to this slight underdog in this one. We're going to go with Tapestry. Now, mechanically, as far as the game plays and the game works, I am actually a huge fan of Tapestry. I think it's an underrated, extremely underrated game, especially from Stonemaier. It's one of my favorites that they have, actually. And what I love about it is while on your turn it's very Euro, basically what you do is you either move up one of the 4 tracks around the board. There's 4 different tracks on each side. And each track location that you move up has a different effect. And they all sort of focus on different things. But all you do on your turn is spend resources to move up your civilization up a track and then do the resulting action on that track. Or have an income phase which sort of ends the round for you, and like all of your stuff, you collect all of your resources back for like the next age of the game. And you also get to play a Tapestry card there, which is awesome. I actually wish there was one more chance to play a Tapestry card in the game. I wish the first round, when you're just like building your fire, I wish you got one more Tapestry card play. But that's my only complaint about sort of the way the game flows. Super easy to teach. The rule book is super short for how complicated the game is. And what I really like about the game is it's this Euro game, but it creates a lot of interesting player interactions in the map and how you control different locations. Whereas a lot of Euro games, you can be sort of playing a solitaire game, there's actually some really interesting interactions that happen in this game, both racing up the tracks and in the map that's in front of you and the technology you can get and other things like that. So it's actually one of my favorite games from Stonemaier, mechanically speaking, gameplay speaking wise. Now, Role Player, for me, is a solid game. It's fine. You roll dice, you get good dice mitigation techniques. It's fun building out a D&D character, but it's not, if I had to choose between which game I'd rather play right now, this game, it's really fun the first few times you play it, but I don't think, it doesn't call me back to it as much. Every time I play Tapestry, I'm actually surprised. I forget how much I like it. So for mechanics, I'm going to have to go with Tapestry, so it's off to an early lead. On to number 3, which is theme. And theme-wise, Role Player is very much that fantasy D&D building your character experience. I'm not a huge D&D player. I've only played it a few times, and like Pathfinder once. So Tapestry, building a civilization and picking a civilization, there's a ton to choose from in this game, and they all have different variable powers and abilities and goals and mats. This game for me just wins out on theme. I love the art. I love building my own civilization. For me, this just speaks more to me personally. So I'm going to give that particular category to Tapestry as well. And then last but not least, we have our 4th category, which is replayability. Now here, I think, my opinion, I know where my opinion goes, but I think subjectively speaking, you can't, or objectively speaking, I should say, you can't really, I don't think one game really has more replayability than the other. Both games have a lot of variability. This has all the different character mats you can choose and all the different cards and traits you can get through the card draw. This has a card draw and a bunch of great stuff and a bunch of different civilizations. So actual replayability between the games, I actually would call this a tie as far as which games has more replayability. But when taking into account my personal preference, I would much rather play Tapestry more with the replayable civilizations, because I think they're a little more different and give you a little bit more, the game feels a little bit more different when you pick a different civilization in this game than Role Player is just sort of like a different set of constraints on your board and things you're going for. It doesn't feel, I'm still playing the same thing and my overall strategy is the same. It just shifts where my dice are more or less important. So for me, I'm going to give Tapestry a clean sweep on this one. Slight underdog in the BGG rankings, but for me, this is the game that's going to move on to the next round. So thanks again for watching Board Game Madness. Check back tomorrow for another video, and don't forget to like and subscribe this videos and be notified so when you'll be able to keep track of our tournament that's going on here over the next few weeks.